Let's wrap up our discussion about drawing with lines and curves. We'll also take a look at the three-point drawing tools. There have been some subtle improvements to the three-point drawing tools that add to their effectiveness. First of all, we'll go over to the line tool flyout. We have a freehand tool, our Bezier tool, pen, polyline, and the three-point curve tool. We're going to take a look at just three of those. First, the freehand tool. The freehand tool has been around for quite some time, and it draws in two basic ways. First, I can click, move my mouse, and click, and I've defined a starting point and an ending point for that line. I didn't drag. When you drag, you create a curved line. So if I click and drag, there's a curved line. Now you notice I have three nodes here. That's not a single line segment that has a curve built into it. What the freehand tool is attempting to do is to follow your movement, and as you change direction, it tries to follow you by adding nodes. If you want to create a complete closed shape, you simply click and drag. You'll notice the thumbnail that sits beside my pointer right now is a little squiggle, indicating I have a line tool. If I return to the beginning, it closes that shape. I get a return arrow and a release. That's a closed shape. And I can do the same thing with straight lines by going click, click. And you see I've made a single line, and as I go back to the end point, I get that return arrow. I can click again, and click again, click, and click again, and bring it back to the beginning, and that's a closed shape using straight lines. Well, the freehand tool is excellent for making individual lines or doing some things quickly, but the polyline tool, which I'll go and get right now, the polyline tool, this is a compound drawing tool, and I find it a little easier and quicker when you're doing outlining. The polyline tool can create straight lines, click and click, there you go, but it doesn't stop drawing until you tell it to. So I can click all over my canvas, and I have to either return to the starting point to end my drawing, or click, click, click. If I want to stop here, I can double click to end my drawing. It's a compound drawing tool. It won't quit until you tell it to. Let me delete that, and it's the same with curved lines. If I click and drag a curve, here I am. I think I'm finished, but if I move away, you can see that the compound drawing tool won't stop drawing until I double click or return to the beginning. So let me click, return to the beginning. Notice what's happened. I have straight lines and curved lines combined with a single tool. It's a very effective drawing tool. Let's take a look at the three-point drawing tools. The three-point curve, it's a good place to start. They differ when you're creating objects because it takes 3 clicks to make a single object, whether it's the three-point rectangle tool, the three-point ellipse tool, or in this, the three-point curve tool. The advantage is that you can draw objects in context. Let me show you. I'll click and I'll drag and release. Now my click and release has set the beginning point and the end point of my curve, but it's still attached to my pointer so that I can set the acceleration of this curve. And here I go, I'll click, and now I've set it down. That was 3 clicks to create a single curve, but that's a single line segment with 2 nodes. It differs, and it's the easiest way to create a single arc. It's an excellent tool. Let me just remove that. Likewise, hiding here behind the rectangle tool is the three-point rectangle tool. Again, I click and I drag and release, and then I have the rectangle attached to my pointer. So I can drag out the length of that rectangle and release. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the three-point drawing tools from the previous version, you'll notice one big difference right here. Let me just delete that. Click and I drag and I release. Now, as soon as I've released, I can no longer change the width of my rectangle. Now I'm only working with the height of my rectangle. In previous versions, your width and height remained fluid. That began to hamper the drawing process because once you've clicked and dragged and release, you've set the width and you want that to remain fixed, especially if you're combining this drawing technique with snapping, which we'll do in just a moment so we can look at another change. Let me just click to set this object. There we go. Let's go up to the View menu, Snap to Objects. I'm going to create another object to show you another improvement that has been made to the three-point drawing tools. And these are subtle changes, but they really do speed up your work and make your work a lot more accurate. I'm going to click and drag, release, and now as I bring it down to the other object, let me just find that point, there we go. Now here's the subtle change. For those of you who are familiar with the 3-point drawing tools, in previous versions, the target, the pointer, kind of led your object by a little bit, so it was difficult to place the edge of the object exactly where you wanted it to be. Well, with the enhancements to snapping, now you have the pointer fixed right on the leading edge of your object so that you can put the pointer on a snap point, wherever you want it to be. Here's the midpoint of that object, here's the top node of that object, bottom node, your center point. And when you find the point that you want to snap to, you click to finish your drawing, and now I know that my second rectangle is lined up exactly with the corner of the first rectangle. So those subtle changes have improved drawing with the 3-point tools. If you haven't already used the 3-point tools, you're going to find them extremely fast drawing tools for certain situations. And the enhancements has only made them better.